See you find out from Mama Kwaba about daily update TV. So send daily kind of channel so make sure better if you and subscribe to us edamami. Now things what have on the notification bell understand where you so sabit maka. All the update to channel so mo hunya cause on Ghana politics. Yes, I should be say. But I could video so by like it. Now I share there. That's all watching trivia edify video or the comment section a budget. Now I can kind of answer ediam. Some me America say a suspended Chief Justice Pam get you Torkornoo. In name say. And kind of for our more mining a petition a President John Domain Mahama say a damn amen. Why you may be emphata, say Chief Justice in the Nicholas or Tana, Chief Justice Akonyana so 90 yen influence that's a dinner them. And no jay am another case. A dear SCCR, your mamma get you Torkornoo. We involved in a new fresh scandal corruption at say. A home tipa yes, I'm a person the kind of air corruption a mammy. I could get in self involved in it. Any CC, I'm not the case information about one thing. A year NPP for no umuji this a mammy bit me at an home. And I'm to moose and near mammy. Then some naki kakon umuina shasti a to take it at say, oh my imagine so be journey F man. Yes, I'm an good to send us in sim chuchum and sweaty.
Why don't know what is at stake? In fact, note also that the president has been circumspect all this while. The president has not divulged anything to do with the content of any of the petitions. Right. That should be on record, because when it comes to Article 146 petitions against chief justices, there is a much higher standard. In the case of, let's say, the electoral commissioner and the strike boss, which have been successful in the past, that's Charlotte Osei and Vivian Lamptey. Okay, those ones, it is not kept secret. The information can be out there, and it was out there, and the charges were made known to Ghanaians, and then subsequently they were removed. Those people thought the Charlotte Osei one was wrong. And of course, we have another Article 146 petition pending against the EC boss. Those who think that there's nothing against her. It's been pending since 2021, 21st January.
I think maybe we should settle that of the CJ.
I'm just putting these things side by side.
Controversy, yeah.
No, I'm just putting this side by side.
We're discussing last.
No,
he was actually linking it to.
I'm saying the crimes that the people committed.
And the petitions that have been leveled against.
You see, there must be a good reason for getting somebody out. Now, because you mentioned the land issue, the land manche had petitioned the president on our lands that were being stolen, and then threatened that we're going to go to court. Whose court were we going to go to? Who was going to preside over that? Which chief justice was going to panel? And so it was necessary to have the chief justice removed because she herself was complicit. That is the basis. And so if somebody says that does not form prima facie, or it is not a grave enough conduct of misbehavior, then what else can be? So the standard and the bar had been met and over exceeded. In her instance, we are hearing that, what's the title? They said what? Suspended chief justice cited in fresh corruption scandal. Yeah. What are these corruption scandals? I'm sure you would enlighten us, but I've heard former Speaker of Parliament, Michael Quay, Professor Reverend Michael Quay, say that he thinks that this whole thing should be stopped unless it is made public. Even though the Constitution says that the contents of the petitions should not be made public, she thinks that the trial should be made public.
It's actually the Constitution that dictates that it should be an in-camera process.
Exactly, but here is a Speaker of Parliament, a member of the NPP.
But she herself also made that demand.
That she wants the
president and every other thing that pertains to this subject matter is known to the public. So why don't they make the procedure public?
They are saying to us that we should disregard what the Constitution expressly says.
But the committee says they are inclined to the dictates of the Constitution.
Yes, so they
weren't going to
listen to these people again. No. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. The person who says the law is the law is agreeing with people who are saying the most absurd thing. In fact, even this should be.
The law has to be the law. So
no,
we have to uphold the rule of law as high as we can.
No, that's treasonable.
The law is for the poor.
No, you see, it is treason to overturn the Constitution, whether aspects of it or in full. Correct?
So she's coming from the tangent of, okay, everything that pertains to this issue.
Who made it public?
It's made public. In as much as the Constitution says it should be behind closed doors. it is known to the public. So why don't you make every other thing concerning it public
regardless
as well?
of what the Constitution says? She is not fit to be a Chief Justice. She is not fit to be a judge if she thinks that the Constitution should be overturned because of reason A or B. When there's a constitutional review process in works, why doesn't she rather advise the constitutional review people that going forward because of this, that, do this? She knows better than that. I don't think she said what you are saying she said. I am disbelieving you on this one.
It's actually here.
If she said that, then that should constitute new grounds for a petition for her removal.
Let me read that. Says the Council of State, after considering 3 separate petitions filed by a private citizen, Daniel Fore, senior police officer, Ajama Akologo, and a group calling itself Shining Stars. Okay, is that failed injunction on May 6th, 2025? The Supreme Court, by a 3-2 majority decision. I'm not sure if that's where it is, but somewhere here.
Let me take your word on it since the time is running.
Action President reversing warrant, refused the application which sought to order the President to revoke suspension of the Chief Justice. The court did not give a full reason, but okay. Before that, it's captured somewhere here.
Never mind, I'll take your word for it. I've known you in the past. Yes, okay.
The report said Justice Torkornoo's request was, however, turned down by the committee, which indicated that since Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution demands that the committee sitting be held in camera, they are inclined to abide by the dictates of the Constitution. So that preceding that's the paragraph preceding that says she is said to have justified her request by noting that all the processes leading to the formation of the committee and the probe had already gone public in spite of the constitutional demand.
But you see, well, even though I take your word, I can't take it from where it's the sources. And it's saying that it is
indicating that she But they are indicating that she made the request.
No, daily guide.
Everything that concerns should be made public.
Newspaper, daily guide. Charlie, forget this one. If I hear from the woman herself, I will personally write a petition for her removal. If I hear from herself,
maybe we can find sources.
So let's find out whether she did say that, and if she did say that, I will also file a petition for her removal because she cannot be asking for the Constitution to be overturned. If Speaker Michael Quay is asking for the Constitution to be overturned, he is no longer in office, but she is currently suspended but still actively in office, and so it will be grounds for her removal. So she should not say that. She should recant that if she did say that. Now, you've heard the NPP, the Bar Association, and their surrogates say all manner of things trying to overturn the Constitution when it comes to this particular Chief Justice. Every single aspect of this they want to overturn and say that, oh, she should be allowed to go. Come on. Look, lawyers and judges, when found culpable of the law, should be the last to be excused. You know why? People say ignorance of the law is no excuse when it comes to the ordinary man. Who knows the law? Isn't the person who has gone through legal training? You are a legal student, right? You, even as a student, if you infringe, you must be held higher than him because he's not a legal student. So if your lecturer, who is a lawyer, infringes, he should know better. Now the practitioners, including especially those who pass judgments, those who have incarcerated people for life, for death, and so on, and the people who empanel those who incarcerate them, who should be let off the hook? So the Chief Justice, the highest bar, when it comes to Article 146, should hit her. Why are they lowering the bar for her? The Ghana Bar Association, why are you lowering the bar? In fact, they've lowered the bar itself. Not just the bar, but the bar, the Ghana Bar Association has been lowered.
Which of the bars?
The Bar Association. Maybe they were drunk. But the point is that the NPP French of the Ghana Bar Association, who went and met in that mid-term whatever conference, that was rained off. I understand there was lightning and thunder. Most people left. It was just a few people, about 20 or so people out of about 5,000, membership. They met. And then they decided to say what they said. I think that association must be looked critically at. But look, bottom line is that the process must go on. Yes, there's great public interest in the matter. However, I think that we should respect the Constitution. It is different from when it comes to case, the courts itself. Most of their sittings are not publicized, right? But there have been instances where it's been waived. I recall a few where the Chief Justice had to waive. But those are not constitutional, that court sittings should be in camera. But why do the courts think that some of their things even should be in camera? So if they can respect the fact that even court sittings, and if you dare go to even the High Court and attempt to video the sitting live without that, you are in contempt of the court. You can be thrown, summarily in jail. So why do people like this think the way they think and say the things they say? Why?
So are you saying that her knowledge of the law should intensify the degree of her sanctions?
Of course, and her self being the one who does not only practice, but is at the top of it. Now, to the allegations that have been made against her, the corruption charges. If you recall, in the case of the Ċoṛṛuփtiȯn boss, it wasn't about corruption per se, but I think they said, well, technically corruption, because misappropriation of state funds amounts to corruption. And she did not misappropriate the money. She is said to have misapplied the money or something to that extent, as in buying curtains and furnishings for her office building, not for her personal use. Okay. In this instance, there are allegations of some travel things that were not done according to due process because they had a policy. Policies are, for me, not strict laws. Policies are loose laws, but they are still binding in the corporate setup where you operate. And so for me, the judicial secretary who resigned should be brought back and dealt with.
So she's a judge now. No,
I'm coming to that. That's one forces petitions. The paper don't finish. Yeah. Pen finish, ink finish. Ink no finish. Let them go and be the judge. So she will have to come back and be dealt with on this matter as whether she okayed for the variation from having your security person travel with you or have your husband and daughter travel with you and then the per diem angle and so on. I understand there are some people, Operation Recover All Loot, who are now willing to pay back their loot and so on. In fact, people are rushing. There's a mad rush to pay the loot. So if they are minded to also refund those monies, that would be good. The next thing is that 4th June is coming. 4th June is coming.
Yeah.
Mass arrest will happen. 4th June. It will be chaotic.
I'm not taking your word seriously because
there's a deadline. Operation Recover All Loot. People are flown. You haven't heard that people are flying out of town. I heard about 6 or 7 went last week to Brussels. Many are, have bought tickets. Look, I'm telling you, whatever it is, and in this particular instance, that so-called, single source contracts that the Chief Justice is alleged to have engineered for a company known as what? Design 37.
Yes.
Oh, so that's your company name. The company name you were responding to in the morning.
No,
I mean in the beginning of the show.
Do you know the funny thing? Most of the corruption scandals, the companies that they choose, there was one called Talent Sons of the
Yes.
That's just so funny news.
Frank, can you wrap up for us?
When you want to decide to steal our money,
can you please wrap up for us?
Anyway,
so that
so if indeed it is true, I haven't seen those documents and I have not heard her attest to those. But if indeed it is true, and someone says that there's no prima facie case, I think the person is mad. That's what I'm saying.
So the school of thought is not only about the fact that there's no prima facie case, but also
if the evidence exists.
The whole process is undue. It's unfounded.
Who said that?
I mean, school of thoughts.
No, when you say school of thoughts, you're mentioning it.
I have mentioned it.
Tie for me da wase bebre sa oje na odi hwe video na chese suspended Chief Justice ana sisi ne ho asa kopiem aweye fresh corruption scandal chese eno no so uyi na no bebia enye ye basame am de kasi information aba bonte chese o meyi na no osa ensem na aba bonte no sanso na ohwe maame ye enyine nim se na wotwetwem maame na ede beto bonte se ai esan se ne petition no aba beto abonte magana fu enyina ye hu no ebe ya nka Ninsem na ye koso na ye di na anka ye overturn ye constitution ema no ma bibia ema ye public obia oye a whole Chief Justice wosi ye overturn ye constitution ema na chese ma me we anka sa de esekwa ana oko wa emra ni nyina ehye wonsem obia oye ignorance to the law ana e ka se senka otomra anka consider kaka enye wa ko school na waba benya eye this dibia a wo se wo ye judge wo ye this Supreme Court kaka nyina ahye wonsa court penny one out no we see you overturn the constitution and for because we Chief Justice or special ya Ghana for ebinum sad na ma na Ghana for bebre na ebo for ebimpo epese eni mu ya omocho petition ma yen sake no kra cause a whole Chief Justice you want say suspended the bastona, you still hold on to your position. Want to make say, I overturn the constitution and from a constitution now. No, you overturn that constitution and from Mama see the air, dear mamma, and come say, ko no beko. Na kono beko so am a uncle for no more support union himself now 70 by an idea and before so a similar mood and then or more trended and then is any quasi. President John Dramani Mahama petition na a power and another breast no no fancy who be go through the procedure with the constitution who go through na opesa mamen et now since the moment said there some na go piano de are mamen who be coffee into ma o movie aganaska o sister o mine musica e go mo account me no mo family no mo bisua edi o mo di bia ye ne ma ya de assembly o mo bokron o mo yam hye o mo pa o mo say ya de kia ne ki Mama no obe kofi ene sisi a petitioners are more represent a John Dramani Mahama no bibia chese adia mama no kwa no obe kofi I am shishinti this NPP MPs no and as NPP leaders we sika out the previous government when I there some ready shoncheche mu a guest no edeba na adia these people o masha say to take it Operation recovered all the loot in a bit do 4th June, not just a masha say a granite and then because on the 4th June idea a huge arrest ever because of a minimum just and crofwa. We on mine sican. The money na bekwa kugum. Nothing so more say or modisican ban. A step be modiscan coshipia. Fimpo on befiaba. A say Jesus can add more on mine because on better over the past 8 years now. Or mine she and farmer or mine. Near my ben a Chief Justice or ye involved in it. Corruption scandal ben a mammy or ye involved in it. In your name say, and some Pia Babon teaches a mammy, one fat or quine pass and matches a piny sick in the kun and then baba or moon ye juma and marby and I say among your public servant. So mammy at the air or mine sicker. A farm, a domoko vacation, including the escape your demand security guard in your money may be any classes I'm having and call ye or damn run of pay as a wash. Now them ran to now yet no I'll pay. San your mana a many year in a dear mamma or po a dear will book constitution so empty qua ano be coffee. If you be on subscriber, Mr. Sobetafi and the subscriber to us at your nothing sort of on the notification bell on the Senate on some sabit maka how the new update added to channel so among negos on Ghana in politics as I should be a back of video so like it. Now I share them and that's a watching trivia edify video or the comment section I can kind of